The stone hit him before he even saw it coming. A sharp crack echoed in the alleyway, and the little pup stumbled, yelping as the laughter of children bounced off the walls. His ribs showed through a thinning coat, each breath sharp, ragged. His legs trembled, but he didn't dare fall because falling meant more stones, more kicks, more jeers. The alley smelled of rotting food and wet dust, but to him, it was the only shelter he knew. The children scattered when a woman's voice called them from the street, but their laughter lingered like an echo in his ears. He slunk back against the wall, pressing himself into shadow. His tail tucked tight beneath him, his ears flat. He didn't bark. He never barked. Not anymore. Once, long ago, though in his short life, long ago meant only weeks, he had barked at everything. He had barked when he first chased after the heels of a boy carrying bread, barked when the carts rattled past on cobblestone, barked when he thought someone might notice him. But every bark had been answered with curses, kicks, or worse. So he had learned silence, the way the forgotten learn to make themselves invisible. His paws ached as he limped toward the mouth of the alley. The street stretched wide before him, alive with sound. Rickety motorbikes rattled past, vendors shouted prices, the clatter of pans and the smell of frying oil drifted in the air. Life bustled, but none of it included him. To them, he was dirt, a shadow, a stray pup with scars on his face and a limp in his stride. A stall owner noticed him and waved a broom. "CHH. Get away." The bristles smacked the ground near his paws, and he skittered back. His belly twisted with hunger, his tongue heavy in his mouth. He had smelled the fried fish from the stall all morning. He had dared to hope for a scrap, just a morsel. But hope was a dangerous thing on these streets. The sky shifted as clouds moved across the sun, shadows crawling over the market. The pup wandered, ribs scraping against the corners of carts as he squeezed past, careful not to brush against anyone. A kick could come from anywhere. A boot, a stick, a stone. He had learned to flinch before the blow ever landed. By the well in the square, he paused. Water dripped from the spout, darkening the mud beneath. He lowered his head to drink. Cold relief hit his tongue, until a sharp shove sent him sprawling. His chin smacked against stone, teeth rattling. A teenage boy sneered down at him. "Filthy thing," the boy muttered, and with a swift motion, he grabbed the pup by the scruff and hurled him aside. The pup landed in the mud. For a moment he didn't move. The world spun, sounds muffled. Then slowly he pushed himself up, trembling. His left ear bled where the stone had grazed earlier. The mud clung to his fur, heavy, foul-smelling. Around him, people passed without even glancing. Humiliation wrapped around him like a second skin. To be invisible was one thing. To be seen and despised, that was worse. He lowered his gaze, ears drooping. His paws left faint prints in the mud as he slunk back toward the alleys, away from the square. Night began its slow descent. Lanterns flickered alive above shop fronts, glowing orange against the darkening blue of the sky. The pup curled beneath an abandoned cart, pressing against the wood as the market noise softened into the lull of evening. His body shivered with cold. Hunger gnawed like sharp teeth at his belly, but the exhaustion was stronger. His eyelids drooped. He dreamed in fragments. Shadows chasing him. A door slamming shut. The warmth of a mother's body that he could no longer remember clearly. A voice calling, but never for him. Always for someone else. A crash jolted him awake. Glass had shattered somewhere in the night, followed by angry shouting. His heart hammered, tail stiff. Instinct screamed at him to flee. He darted from beneath the cart and into the street. The village slept uneasily under flickering lamps. His paws splashed through puddles, scattering reflections of light. And then, from the corner, another sound, low, guttural.
A growl.
He froze. Eyes wide, breath quick. In the gloom of the alley ahead, two shapes moved. Larger dogs, strays too, but not like him. They were older, stronger, with the hard muscle of survivors. Their eyes glowed faintly in the lamplight, cold, calculating. Their growls deepened. The pup's legs stiffened. He lowered his body, tail curled tight, ears back. He had no claim here. This was their territory. But hunger betrayed him. A scrap of fish skin lay between them, tossed from the market earlier. He had smelled it even before he saw them. His stomach clenched painfully. The growls grew louder, sharper. The first dog stepped forward, lips peeling back to reveal yellowed teeth. The pup's heart pounded so violently it drowned out every other sound. His paws slid back, inching, but the second dog cut him off with a sudden lunge. Teeth snapped just inches from his muzzle. The pup whimpered, backing into the wall.
Trapped.
Their shadows towered over him, growls rumbling like thunder. His breath came in short, shallow bursts. For a moment, he thought of bolting, but every path was blocked. He pressed against the bricks, small body trembling. The larger dog struck first. A flash of teeth, a snap that tore at his shoulder. Pain seared through him, and he cried out, scrambling sideways. His paw slipped in the mud, and he went down, rolling. The second dog lunged again, jaws clamping into the dirt where his leg had been. He darted through the narrowest gap between them, ribs scraping brick, paws clawing for speed. His breath tore ragged in his chest. The dogs barked furiously behind him, claws striking stone as they gave chase. Through the alleys he ran, each corner too sharp, each shadow too dark. His lungs burned. His legs threatened collapse. But fear drove him faster than hunger ever could. He burst into the open street, lantern light spilling across his muddy, bloodied body. The growls behind him faded as the larger dogs gave up the chase, returning to their scraps. But he did not stop. Not until his paws carried him beyond the edge of the market, into the outskirts where the fields stretched dark and endless. There, finally, he collapsed into the tall grass. His sides heaved, his wounded shoulder oozing. The night wind carried the smell of earth and dampness, and for a moment, silence wrapped around him. The stars flickered overhead. Cold, distant. He lay trembling, mud-streaked, humiliated, and beaten. The laughter of children still rang in his ears, the sting of stones on his body, the growl of rivals in his bones. But beneath the ache, something stirred. A question, faint but alive. Why had he run? Why had he fought to survive, when it would have been easier to lie still and let the dark take him? His eyes closed, but not in surrender. His breath steadied, faintly, like the whisper of a dream he couldn't yet name. And for the first time, the broken pup dared to imagine there might be more. One moment the sky hung heavy with gray, the next it split open, spilling water in sheets that hammered rooftops and flooded the dirt lanes of the village. The pup woke with a start, curled in the grass where he had collapsed the night before. The earth beneath him turned to mud, sucking at his paws as he scrambled upright. Cold seeped into his thin fur, and every drop struck like needles on his scarred skin. He staggered toward the faint glow of the market, seeking shelter. The streets, once bustling, now lay nearly empty, slick with rainwater that carried scraps of trash through the gutters. The few who braved the storm pulled shawls tighter, boots splashing past him without a glance. He tried to follow the scent of food, smoke, spice, the sharp tang of fish oil, but the rain drowned everything, washing away trails, leaving only the bitter smell of wet stone and sewage. His belly cramped, the hunger deepening until it blurred his vision. He had not eaten in 2 days. At the edge of a tea stall, a scrap of flatbread floated in a puddle.
His nose twitched.
He darted forward, only for a hand to slap down a metal pan, blocking him. "Get out of here," the stall owner barked, kicking. The pup yelped and skittered back, slipping in the mud. The pan clattered, the man cursed, and the bread sank into the brown water. Gone. The pup backed into the shadows of a doorway, ribs rising and falling like a drumbeat. He shivered, droplets trailing down his muzzle. His ears twitched to every sound, the roll of thunder, the hiss of rain, the sudden slam of shutters closing. Every noise seemed to declare, "You don't belong here." Hours passed. His legs grew weak. He moved with a desperate rhythm of survival. Sniff, hope, dart forward, retreat from broom or stone. Always empty, always humiliated. By nightfall, the storm worsened. Wind howled through the alleys, lifting tin sheets and rattling them like angry drums. He crawled beneath a wooden cart for shelter, but the rain pooled beneath, soaking him to the bone. He curled tighter, tail wrapped against his belly, eyes squeezed shut. The storm was alive, every crack of thunder a growl, every flash of lightning a strike. The pup whimpered, paws twitching. Instinct screamed, hide. Yet there was nowhere safe. When at last the rain broke into drizzle, the village lay drowned in puddles and silence. The pup staggered back into the open, shivering. He was a shadow of himself now, a thin figure limping through streets glistening with lamplight reflections. And then a sound. A faint whimper, not his own. His ears pricked, despite exhaustion. From beneath a collapsed wooden crate came a high-pitched cry. The pup froze, head tilting. Another stray? Or something else? Cautiously, he padded closer. His paws squelched in the mud. The smell hit him first, sharp, metallic.
Blood. His nose twitched.
Beneath the crate, a tiny kitten lay trapped, paw pinned under the weight of broken wood. Its eyes glowed wide with terror, its cries thin and fading. The pup's heart thudded. He could turn away. Survival meant selfishness.
He had learned that.
No one helped him, so why should he help another? But he didn't move. He couldn't. Instead, he edged closer. The kitten hissed weakly, baring teeth, but the pup ignored it. He lowered his muzzle, pushing against the crate. The wood groaned, too heavy. He tried again, paws scrabbling, muscles straining. His shoulder screamed with pain where the larger dog had bitten him the night before. But still he pushed. The crate shifted. A few inches. Enough. The kitten wriggled free, darting out on 3 good legs, limping into the shadows.
Gone.
The pup collapsed where he stood, chest heaving, breath ragged. Rain dripped from the eaves above, trailing down his muzzle. He had saved nothing for himself. No food. No warmth. Only pain. Yet for the first time, something flickered in his chest. Not pride. Not quite.
But a spark.
He dragged himself back into the alleys, paw steps echoing lonely against the walls. The next morning brought cruel sunlight, golden and harsh. Every puddle glared like a mirror, showing him the pitiful sight he had become, mud-caked, ribs sharp, ear torn, eyes sunken. He didn't recognize the reflection, and yet he couldn't look away. This was what the world had made of him. A nothing. A ghost in daylight. The laughter of children drifted nearby. His ears flattened, memories of stones and jeers flooding back. He turned sharply into another street, unwilling to face them. But the sound followed, louder. They had seen him. Look. The ugly dog, one shouted. The chorus rose, cruel and gleeful. Feet pounded the cobblestones. The pup bolted, like stumbling into a run, breath tearing from his chest. Behind him came the shouts, the laughter, the chase. Stones clattered against walls, one striking his flank. He yelped but ran harder. Through the twisting alleys he fled, paws slipping on wet stone, heart hammering. He burst out onto the open road beyond the village, fields stretching wide. The children's laughter faded behind him, but the humiliation clung like chains. He collapsed at the roadside, sides heaving, tongue lolling. His body quaked with exhaustion.
He was weak.
Always weak. The world knew it, mocked it, exploited it. Yet as he lay in the dust, chest burning, something stirred again. The same spark that had made him push the crate. A whisper beneath the pain. Survive. The sky stretched vast above him, endless blue pierced by the cry of distant crows. The road ahead led somewhere unknown, away from the village that had only scorned him. His paws trembled as he stood. One step, then another. Not because he believed in tomorrow. Not yet. But because his body, broken as it was, refused to stop moving. And somewhere deep inside, buried beneath hunger and scars, a dream took root. A dream that he was more than what they saw. A dream that one day, he would rise. The growl rose from behind him before he even turned. A shadow lunged, heavy paws pounding against the wet earth, yellow eyes gleaming like lanterns in the dusk. It was one of the same strays that had torn into him nights ago.
Bigger.
Stronger. Hungrier. The pup's body froze, breath slicing in his chest. Instinct screamed, "Run." His ribs heaved, legs trembling. But this time something inside him hesitated. He had run every time, and every time, the world only bit harder. The predator circled closer, teeth flashing white. The pup's ears flattened, tail stiff, his body crouched low. Thunder rolled far above the city, as if the sky itself was waiting for the outcome. When the bigger dog lunged, the pup did not run. He dodged sideways, a blur through the mud. The jaws snapped shut where his throat had been an instant before. His paws dug trenches in the earth, and he darted again, sharp as lightning, turning fear into movement. The bigger dog stumbled, surprised. For a heartbeat, the balance shifted. His heart hammered like a war drum. He felt the raw sting of air, the taste of dirt, the weight of his own fragile body. Yet beneath the fear, there was fire. A defiance he had never felt. The larger dog charged again. The pup leapt aside, quicker this time, snapping his own teeth into the enemy's hind leg. It wasn't much, barely a scrape, but it was the first time he had ever bitten back. The other dog yelped, not from pain, but from disbelief. The smaller one had dared. They clashed again, bodies colliding in the mud. The pup was thrown down, ribs screaming, his vision flashing white. He staggered to his feet, blood dripping from his shoulder. Still he did not run. His breath came ragged, yet his paws rooted him in place. The enemy snarled, circled, tested. But there was hesitation now. Something had shifted. The underdog no longer looked like prey. The rain returned in a thin drizzle, cold against his back. Around them, the abandoned street was silent, as if the whole city was watching. The pup lowered his head. His tail no longer tucked. His eyes burned with a stubborn light. The fight ended not with victory, but with a choice. The larger stray, frustrated, growled once more, then turned, vanishing into the shadows. Not beaten, but denied. The pup stood trembling in the rain, body aching, yet a strange pulse ran through him. For the first time, he had not lost everything. For the first time, he had taken something back. He staggered onward, limping through alleys until the neon glow of the city returned. Streetlights blurred through rain, glowing halos on the wet ground. He followed the smell of food, weak but determined. A bakery window spilled warm golden light into the street. Inside, laughter, bread, safety. He pressed close to the wall, ears flicking at every sound. His belly twisted with hunger. He knew what would come if he tried: broom handles, stones, curses. Yet he stepped forward anyway. From the back door, a crust of bread fell into the gutter. His eyes widened. No one noticed. He crept forward, paws barely making a sound. Every nerve screamed danger. Yet he reached it, teeth clamping around the soggy treasure. And this time, no hand struck him. No stone flew.
He ate.
Small, filthy, bleeding, but victorious. That night, he found shelter beneath the skeleton of an abandoned truck. His body curled tight, chest still aching from the fight. Yet in his heart burned a tiny ember, fragile, flickering, but alive. For the first time since the world had turned cruel, the pup closed his eyes not in surrender, but in defiance. He dreamed not of being chased, but of running forward. Not of doors slamming, but of open fields. Not of being nothing, but of being more. The ember glowed. Tomorrow would test him again. He knew it. The city would not soften, hunger would not ease, predators would not vanish. But tonight, under the whisper of rain and the faint hum of distant streets, the pup's spirit whispered back to the darkness, "I will not run forever." And the darkness, for once, seemed to listen. The storm hit without warning. The city skies split open in a furious roar, rain slashing down like knives, wind howling through alleys and shattered rooftops. Markets emptied, doors slammed, and humans vanished into their shelters. But not the pup. He was still out there, ribs sharp against his soaked fur, paws scraping through the flood. The streets he had known, cruel, unforgiving, littered with mockery and hunger, had transformed into a river of danger. Water surged through gutters, sweeping away cans, paper, even a dead rat. The pup stumbled, chest burning, fighting to keep his footing. His breath came in short bursts, his small body pushed to its breaking point. And then he heard it. A scream.
Thin.
Human. A child. Through the curtain of rain, he saw her, a little girl, trapped in the current, clinging to a wooden crate as the water dragged her down the flooded street. Her arms flailed, her voice lost in the roar. Adults shouted from windows, but no one moved. The water was too strong. The pup froze. His heart pounded like a hammer against his ribs. Instinct screamed at him to hide, to curl into shadows, to survive. That was all he had ever known. Survival. Running. Enduring. But something stronger rose inside him. The ember from nights before, now fanned into flame. He had been broken, mocked, discarded. But here was a battle larger than himself, larger than hunger, larger than scars. With a sharp breath he leapt. The water swallowed him instantly, icy and brutal. It slammed his small body against stone, dragged him under, spun him like a rag of fur. He gasped, lungs screaming, paws thrashing against the current. Yet his eyes never left the girl. Her face pale, her hands slipping. He clawed forward. Every kick a war. Every gulp of air a victory. He fought the flood as he had fought the larger stray, not with strength, but with refusal to surrender. Closer. Closer. His teeth found the edge of the crate. He bit hard, locking his jaw, anchoring himself. The girl sobbed, her small hand tangling in his wet fur, holding on as if he were her last thread of life. The current raged, trying to rip them both away. His body screamed to let go, but his heart roared louder. He pushed his paws against a jutting stone, forcing himself sideways, inch by inch, dragging the crate toward a half-sunken cart jammed against the street wall. The struggle felt endless. His vision blurred, rain stung his eyes, and every breath tasted of mud and pain. Yet the girl's hand clung tighter, and something inside him grew stronger than the storm. With a final desperate lunge, he shoved the crate against the cart. The girl scrambled up, coughing, crying, but alive. Human hands reached down from the balcony, pulling her to safety. Shouts of relief pierced the storm. The pup, too weak to climb, was dragged under once more. The current tore him away, tumbling, choking, his world spinning into black. But before the darkness swallowed him, a hand reached down, rough, strong, pulling. He felt warmth, solid ground beneath him, arms lifting him out of the torrent. The humans had seen. When the storm finally eased, the story spread through the streets like fire. The broken, scarred stray who had once been mocked, chased, and starved was now the savior of a child. They called him a hero. Bread was offered, doors opened, gentle hands reached out instead of stones. Where once laughter had cut him, now it praised him. Where once he had been invisible, now he was unforgettable. The pup, still trembling, stood on unsteady legs. His body bore the marks of his journey, scars across his ribs, a limp in his step, the permanent reminder of struggle. But his eyes burned with a light that had not been there before. He was no longer prey, no longer forgotten. He had risen from the mud, the hunger, the cruelty, and he had triumphed. The little girl found him days later, crouching where the sun broke through clouds, his fur drying in golden light. She held out her hand, small and soft. He hesitated, breath quickening, memories flashing of all the hands that had hurt him before. But this one was different. It trembled with gratitude, not cruelty. Slowly, cautiously, he stepped forward. His nose brushed her palm. She smiled, tears shining. For the first time in his life, the pup felt what safety could be. Not a fantasy, not a dream in the rain, but real. Warmth. Home. And though he had been broken, though the world had scarred him, he had dared to rise. The underdog was no longer under. The broken had become whole. The forgotten had become a legend. The storm had passed, and in its silence, the city whispered his triumph.